Hello, welcome to The Moral Machine. I wanted to do this video for a while, but Markiplier beat me to it. But that's okay, I've updated my list of enemies, and his time will come soon. But for now, we're going to delve into these moral dilemmas. So we can see the first one seems pretty cut and dry. They've set up the scenario with no questions as far as how it's going to turn out. So in real life, if you're driving a car and you see two cats in the road, you might just pull off to the side and trust that your car is good enough to save you, right? Depending on the speed that you're going, you could hit a barricade, your car would get crushed, maybe you'd have a sore neck, but you might not die. And maybe that's worth the risk in real life. But in this fake scenario, it shows, you can see right here, their little skulls. You will die if you hit that barricade. That's how philosophical questions work. It's the person on the train tracks, that's just how it goes. So in this scenario, the question is, there is no question, right? Even if the humans are at fault, which they're not because they're not driving, but even if the humans are at fault, two cats may have to die to save their life. Now it's worth noting, I'm a vegan. I'm very into animal rights, okay? And we should set up situations so that we don't have to choose between humans and animals. Keeping kids out of dangerous situations with animals means that we don't have to kill the animals for no good reason. And so in this scenario, where there's humans versus animals, the animals gotta die. Now we could ask a broader question of, why do the humans need to drive a car in the first place, I guess? And it's important to note that this isn't a problem that driving cars face, really, right? Making the decision is the problem that the driving cars face. But getting into accidents, hitting cats, it's what cars do every day with humans at the wheel. We suspect that cars will do a better job when they're driving themselves because they can be more consistent. But these moral machine questions are, what should it do when it has to make a decision that a human normally would make? Even if that human would normally make a bad decision, it feels like free will, whereas the car doing it for you feels wrong somehow. Even though overall people in general, it might make a better decision. So unfortunately in this situation, we're choosing to save the lives of humans over cats. I feel like I've spent way too long on this question, but this is the answer. It's always humans over animals in this kind of situation. When humans are more at fault, maybe, I'd probably still choose humans and then throw them straight in jail, but sorry, cats. All right, now here's a different scenario. And I can see what they're doing here, right? You can see in the art, they've got little old people riding in the self-driving car, and then they've got children. I'm not gonna play that game. A life is a life. We don't need to be ageist about this. We don't need to say, oh, they had their chance, so they're old and they gotta die. No, I'm not playing that game. Old person equals child equals middle-aged person. So in this scenario, the only question in my mind is, should the people who are walking or the people who are driving be at fault? And of course, at fault is whatever that means in a self-driving car, right? Here's my question. There's a crosswalk there. Why is the self-driving car speeding at such a rate that it couldn't possibly stop? Oh, I see. A self-driving car with sudden brake failure. So that answers that question for me. So I was already leaning towards choosing the people in the car to die over the people in the street. Because when you get in a self-driving car, just like when you get in a car yourself, you sort of elect that there's a certain amount of danger that can be brought upon yourself. You don't do that when you're walking because that's the default state, right? People shouldn't be forced to have a car to be a privileged class so that they can die less. That doesn't make any sense. Now, if they were walking down the road, that might be a different story, and we could talk about how maybe people aren't allowed to walk on the road because it makes it safer for cars, sort of like how they got rid of all the employees in the Amazon warehouse that had automated the forklift things running around moving packages. Once they got the humans out, they were able to go super fast because they weren't worried about injury. They weren't worried about insurance problems, and that made it safer all around. So we could talk about that, where people are not allowed on the road. But the affected pedestrians are abiding by the law and crossing at a green signal. They're not at fault. Neither are the people in the car. I should stop using the word fault because it's misleading. These old fogies entered into a contract when they got into the car, in my mind, that presumed some amount of danger, that presumed that the car may fail in some way and they might be harmed. So I'm going to say that they are the ones who, unfortunately, will have to sacrifice themselves in this scenario. Is this the same thing? What is this? In this case, a self-driving car was sudden brake failure will swerve and crash into a concrete barrier. This is the same thing. See, I knew that they were going to do this. Now that it's all even, has your view changed? No, of course not. I think it's kind of weird that they even set it up that way. So, people in the car, sorry. Is it just going to be a million of these? What are they doing here? What is the point? Oh, one of them is a robber. What the heck is this game? Self-driving car will break one elderly man, one boy, one pregnant woman. In this case, self-driving car will break one elderly man, one boy, one pregnant woman, one cat, one criminal. First of all, I don't know what criminal has anything to do with traffic accident, right? He wasn't breaking the law of traffic. That's not how he became a criminal. He has a bag of money, okay? He endangered people in some other realm. That doesn't extend, that's not a license to kill this person no matter what. That's weird and ridiculous. So I see what they're going to do, and the next one is going to be a harder question because they're going to put 5 people in the car and 3 people in the street. But for now, I'm going to say there's the fact that there are people in the car and they have made that contract where they're accepting some amount of risk, and there's less people in the car and more people outside, and a cat. Cat's irrelevant in my mind in this scenario. It's got to be 3 people in the car. Okay, I was wondering if something like this was going to happen. This is a toss-up, right? Let's show the description so we can see what's going on here. Okay, so this one is actually a little interesting. On the left side of the street, we have pedestrians crossing legally. I don't care who they are. I've already established that. It doesn't matter what kind of people they are. On the right side, we have people crossing the street illegally. Now, again, we could have a discussion about whether people can cross the street illegally. Let's assume that this is a closed highway, okay? This is a highway where people don't normally cross, but there's a crosswalk for some reason. I don't know why they couldn't make an overpass, right? I feel like a lot of these situations can be avoided, but whatever. So the question is, should the car alter its course to kill people who were in the wrong already, or should it just do nothing because it has no good option? We're assuming that the car can see these people. It knows that people are crossing the street illegally over there, okay? If it didn't know, right, and it could only see the people in front of it, and it swerved, just like a normal person would, right? It didn't know, it assumed no one would be in the crosswalk over there where it's illegal to cross, and tried its best to get out of the way, and happened to kill some people. That is the best scenario. Unfortunate, but the best scenario. But since the self-driving car knows everything, and this scenario suggests to me that it knows everything, except that its brakes were going to fall out. So the car knows that there are people crossing illegally. Those people aren't just okay to kill because they're crossing illegally, okay? I would say that in a situation like this, the car just has to do nothing because there's nothing it can do to prevent loss of life. We shouldn't be valuing people's lives just because they decided to cross the road illegally. I mean, it's just absurd, right? I understand that it kind of goes with the thing I was saying before where there's an amount of risk that they're taking by crossing the road illegally, but come on. The car shouldn't be making these sort of determinations. We can throw all those people in jail later for making the car make this decision, but the car shouldn't make the decision on the fly. So I'm going to say the car does nothing because there's nothing it can do to prevent loss of life. 4 and 4. I feel like we've been through this already. Let's show the description. What? See, now this game's trying to make me feel bad. I want to choose, as I've chosen before, that the people in the car have taken a minimal amount of extra risk. Does nominal mean small amount? I think it does. Very small. Okay. So the people in the car have agreed in a small amount of risk. I don't care that it's a criminal, okay? I shouldn't even have clicked the description, but I thought that there was something more because it seemed too simple. I don't care that it's an elderly person or homeless, whatever, homeless person. It doesn't matter to me. It Doesn't matter that they're executives. These are weird questions that a car should not consider. I don't want to introduce a class system of who deserves to be alive more, who paid their taxes on time, right? Maybe if all things are equal, it'll look into that. That's not fair. Just look at people as people and then take into account the amount of risk in the scenario that they have put in. So you might come into a different decision in the previous one where the people were crossing illegally. And that's okay. I think that's fine. I wouldn't call you an evil person for thinking that, right? Because they made the situation more risky. A person being a criminal, unless he's fleeing a crime right now, has nothing to do with this traffic accident right here. That said, they got into a self-driving car. No, undo that. They got into a car to begin with, a motorized vehicle. So they have assumed a small amount of risk, and they have to take that risk to its conclusion, which unfortunately in this situation is death. I don't care that they're executives. What a stupid thing. It's 4-4. We're getting a lot of samey-sames. Now it's 2 criminals, right? I see that. It doesn't say that they're fleeing a crime. And why would a self-driving car know that you're fleeing a crime but still allow you to flee a crime? That's a little weird, right? It's still going to be people in the car. Sorry. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. This is where it gets tricky. All things being even, the people in the car have assumed some risk. But things are not even in this situation. In this situation, there are 5 people in the car, and I'm going to stop looking at the description because it doesn't give me any information about the scenario. It's just who the people are, which is totally irrelevant, as we've stated, okay? So in this situation, it's 5 versus 4. So we got to let the 5 people live because all things are not even anymore, right? They assumed an abominable amount of risk by getting into a car. They're not in control of the car. They've done their best. Now it's just an unfortunate situation. What is that? A doctor with the cure for cancer? Come on. A doctor. It says a male doctor. Is there a female doctor in the car? It's a male doctor either way. But anyway, so in this situation, I'm going to go with the maximum number of lives saved, regardless of quality. Here's another situation. It's like, is it women or men? Who cares? I don't care. The car can't change the outcome as far as numbers, so it should just do nothing. This is getting easy. I feel like we've set our rules up, so all this other stuff is automatic. Old person, old man, who cares? They're in the car. Old woman's crossing illegally, I see. That's unfortunate. Again, the car's brakes have failed. If it were driving normally, it would slow down at the crosswalk, even if no one's crossing, even if it's red, right? I feel like that's got to be the case because people are involved. As long as people are involved, you got to be a little extra cautious, right? If it's all self-driving cars on a highway, they can do whatever they want because they know what they're doing. But people throw a wrench in the plans. And in this situation, this one's actually got me doubting myself. I'm going to stick to my guns and say that jaywalking isn't a crime worth dying for, but the other person's dying for it. I can understand if you disagree with me on this one. I'm going to stay consistent. Person in the car assumes a little bit more risk. Unfortunately, this old woman who crossed the street at the wrong time caused another person's death. It's a sad reality. Are people going to be able to murder other people by just crossing the street incorrectly when I set things up this way? We're going to have to do away with crosswalks. I think I'm going to click that the person in the car dies in this situation. But let's change it a little bit. Let's say that all roadways, it's illegal for humans to be there, right? That's a little weird. You might feel that your rights are being impinged and that your flow, your normal walking flow, has been like guided now by the government, but I feel like it probably already has. In that situation, it's a super highway, only cars. You're a person that gets on the road. The car sees you and cannot stop. So it's going to either kill you or kill the person inside. I say it kills you because you got on the road illegally. A crosswalk is a legal place to cross. Even though it's illegal at this time, I feel like I've made a mistake. I feel like I should go back and change it to be the people who cross the road. But this is a different world. We're going to have to develop these laws to suit self-driving cars because that's the future, right? There's no reason for us to drive all the time. It's still going to be better. These are cherry-picked situations where people will get hurt, right? Where the brakes fail and the car doesn't know about it way beforehand. Humans routinely ignore check engine lights all the time, and we drive our cars. We don't get inspections in a timely manner. We drive cars that are knowingly unfit to be in the road, and a computer may not do that. So it's going to lower the overall deaths. In the world that we live in now, I don't think it's a death punishable crime to cross the road illegally. And maybe the world will change, but for now, I'm going to stay consistent and say that the person in the car dies. So maybe don't be an early adopter with robot driving vehicles if you're concerned about a situation like this. Here we go again, 5 and 5. Stay the course. Is there anything more? No. Who cares? Yeah, stay the course. They're crossing illegally. That's even easier. But it shouldn't factor in, like I said. Yeah, you can't save a life, do nothing. Kill the cat. What kind of question is this? The cat's even crossing illegally. Not that it knows. This one's easy. I'm sure everyone picks this, right? Right? Come on. I like cats. They're nice animals, okay? We should try and crack down on the number of stray cats. Cats do not belong living outside, okay? I know that you think it does and it has fun playing outside, but it's hurting other animals, it's hurting itself, it's getting diseased, it could get lost and hurt and run over by self-driving cars. Don't let your cats live outside. Kill the cat. Kill every cat and a dog. Sad, but this is just the way it goes. Is that a homeless person again? Yeah. Kill the animals. Most killed character a cat, most saved character a child. Don't pin that on me. You set up the situations, okay? There were plenty of times where I would have chosen old people to live over young people because they were all equal. I feel like this quiz is set up wrong. Are the people character models random? I don't think that they are. Protecting passengers, upholding the law. I'm right in the middle of upholding the law. I think that's fair. Avoiding intervention. Oh. So that's where we do nothing. Yep, I definitely agree with that. Species preference, you versus pets. That's got to be an obvious one, guys. All things being equal, I'm not saying self-driving cars should hunt down and kill cats and dogs, but when it's one person versus a number of dogs, and that person is a thief, it doesn't matter. Don't kill the person. Cars shouldn't be making that sort of determination based on your value. It's numbers of people versus numbers of people. Age preference, that's BS. That's BS, okay? Okay? I didn't choose younger, it just turned out that way. I should have been neutral, in the middle. Quiz sucks. Fitness preference, I didn't even think of that. But I had already decided at the beginning that sort of thing wasn't gonna matter. It's not like my vision was blinded and I was preferring younger people, right? I always counted the number and that is what I chose. So, I don't know. I think the people at MIT are kind of hacks. They don't know how to make a proper quiz. Some of these questions are very important, and they're very hard decisions to make. I made a couple of judgments, and I had to think about them. Should the people in the car die when a person is breaking the law outside, causing the incident? It's a difficult call to make. I'm not sure if I would change my answer. The important thing is to realize that people don't deserve to die. Crossing the road at an improper time doesn't mean you deserve to die. Now, there's a cause and effect that takes place, and maybe you're on the other side of it. They've caused the accident to happen by being in the road improperly, and so the effect that comes, they can't complain about. And I might agree with you on that. I think there needs to be some education that goes on that lets people know, hey, you cannot be in the road in our self-driving future. If that happens, I might change my mind. As of right now, self-driving cars are the new thing. And I think they're great. I can't wait to have one or just use one and not own one at all. For right now, those people are taking a bigger risk because they're getting into a car than a pedestrian would. At least in the scenarios presented here. Let me know in the comments what you think and whether you agree with me. If you think age or fitness has anything to do with your decision, you're a fool, and I don't want to know your comment. Any other comments, let me know. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I have to go think about some things.